Hey, how you doing? This is Adam Post, publisher of more than 1,000 comic books and marketing expert covering Bud Light. Bud Light is in a really difficult situation because they cannot recover from the devastation that they did to their brand with the Dylan Mulvaney promotion. And it wasn't just the promotion, it's been their response to their customers' response about the promotion. Completely inadequate, no one is satisfied. One of the people who is least satisfied and most qualified to criticize Bud Light is ANSON FRERICKS. He is a former president of distribution for Anheuser-Busch. He worked at the company for 10 years, helping the brand get to the position that it was in with success and profitability. What ANSON FRERICKS is saying right now is that the current CEO of Anheuser-Busch, his former boss, who actually promoted him twice, needs to go. He cannot stay at the company because he's not dealing with the Bud Light problem. He's letting things fall apart to please the woke investors like BlackRock, like Vanguard, like State Street. Let's get into the story. Before we do, please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate you. Trying to get to 25,000 subscribers. So if you can subscribe, please do subscribe. Anheuser-Busch's CEO has failed to fix the Bud Light crisis. He must quit now and let someone else right this sinking ship for the sake of ordinary Americans' 401ks, which is their investment accounts, says brand's ex-president of sales, ANSON FRERICKS. And this article from the Daily Mail is actually written by ANSON FRERICKS, so this is word for word what he has to say. Heading into the U.S. beer market's biggest sales week of the year, the 4th of July holiday, Anheuser-Busch's CEO Brendan Whitworth was no doubt hoping to put the recent turmoil behind him. After all, the beer company's decision to make trans activist Dylan Mulvaney the face of Bud Light has cost a staggering $20 billion and counting in lost market cap value. This weekend is make or break. Sadly, though, it looks like the battle has already been lost. On Thursday, Mulvaney did something Whitworth should have had the wisdom to do weeks ago: cut ties. Mulvaney complained here and said they never reached out to Mulvaney to help Mulvaney through this crisis created by Mulvaney and Bud Light together. My take on that is, well, of course no one reached out to you, Dylan Mulvaney, because you got the vice president in charge of the brand essentially fired. She's supposedly still on leave, but Alyssa Heinerschied forced out on leave, as well as her boss above her, Daniel Blake, also forced to go on leave to leave the company. No one left to reach out to Dylan Mulvaney. Anheuser-Busch's response on Friday was predictably weak and indecisive. As we move forward, we will focus on what we do best: brewing great beer for everyone and earning our place in moments that matter to our customers. Anson says, what does that mean? Absolutely nothing. And it will only deepen the chasm between the brand and its customers. As such, and I take no pleasure in passing this judgment, it's clear to me that it's time for the shareholders and board of Anheuser-Busch to ask Whitworth to step down. Just so you understand the significance of Bud Light to the Anheuser-Busch company. It was 40% of the Anheuser-Busch company when they bought that company for $52 billion. It's a very significant piece of business for them. Anson says, now to be clear, I worked with Whitworth for many years at Anheuser-Busch. He personally promoted me twice and eventually made me president of Anheuser-Busch Sales and Distribution Company in 2021. We had a good relationship, and I left on my own terms and co-founded an asset management company last year. So I write this with a heavy heart, not out of spite, but because it's important for Americans to understand how and why corporate leaders can bungle the management of once iconic American brands so badly, sacrificing countless jobs and invested assets in the process. More importantly, I write because those leaders must be seen to take responsibility when things go so badly wrong. The controversy for Bud Light started on April 1st when Mulvaney posted on social media about a personalized gift beer with Mulvaney's face on it that Mulvaney received to celebrate 365 days of girlhood. I question whether or not this beer can was supposed to be shown on social media at all, or if it really was a personal gift. We don't know the answer to that question because the Bud Light people are being very secretive about the disaster they created. Of course, the consumer backlash was immediate. Singer Kid Rock blasted a case of Bud Light with an AR-15. Bartenders reported that customers stopped ordering pints. Unsold beer sat on grocery store shelves. The fallout was exacerbated by comments from Bud Light's vice president of marketing, who previously said just a few days before the controversy that the brand needed to update its, quote, fratty image and out-of-touch messaging. On April 14th, Whitworth made his first attempt at addressing plunging sales with a flat corporate response that neither mentioned the specific controversy nor apologized for it. Instead of helping, it made things worse, inflaming both the customers who wanted an apology for the campaign and those who were sympathetic to Mulvaney and wanted to see the company defend the influencer. The sales decline accelerated and Bud Light lost its title as the #1 selling beer brand in the US to Mexican brand Modelo Especial in May. On June 16th, Whitworth tried again, but in this statement, as bland as the first, he only announced additional investments in Bud Light's summer marketing campaign, support for frontline employees, and a few weak platitudes telling consumers, quote, "We hear you," and "Here's to a future with more cheers." Bud Light subsequently experienced its worst weekly sales numbers since the Mulvaney partnership, and the sales volumes are down 31.1%. It is absolutely horrendous for Bud Light. It's worse in many places, and I suspect it's worse than 31.1%. We know it's down 60% in Florida. We know it's down 45% in Pennsylvania. Where is it up? We just don't know. On June 28th, Whitworth had one last chance to hit the game-saving home run before the critical July 4th holiday. He made his first public appearance since the debacle on CBS Morning News, where he was twice asked by hosts if he would send the can to Mulvaney again or if it had been a mistake. It was a softball question. He should have belted it out of the park. Yet, both times he deflected with a clearly rehearsed and evasive answer. He should have said, "Of course it was a mistake. No, we wouldn't send the can again." But he didn't. Why not? Because he's been paralyzed by corporate America's forced adoption of stakeholder capitalism, which preaches to companies about why they must serve activists, politicians, non-governmental organizations, and all manner of interests, anyone really apart from the shareholders and their customers. It wasn't always this way. Historically, CEOs focused on what really matters, creating great products and services. Certainly, any divisive political controversies that threaten sales were avoided or quickly neutralized. That way, you can ensure more customers, more employees, and more profits. It's that simple. But now, large asset managers, otherwise known as the Big Three, call the shots. Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street manage over $20 trillion. They're the largest shareholders in most publicly traded companies, and they were also the key architects of stakeholder capitalism, with their now infamous diversity, equity, and inclusion targets. Whitworth and other CEOs like him are their mouthpieces. But we must remember, the Big Three are not the real shareholders. The real shareholders are the firefighters, police officers, and doctors whose life savings, held in pensions and 401ks, are managed by these monster firms. These are ordinary Americans who don't care for virtue signaling and money-wasting exercises. They want the best for their families. And really, they should feel entitled to demand a CEO who speaks for them, one who's prepared to say what is needed and make the big decisions. Whitworth has clearly shown himself to be incapable of solving the Mulvaney crisis. He's had multiple chances and he's failed. It's time he did the right thing and stepped aside to make way for someone capable of righting the sinking Bud Light ship. Anson Frericks has been like a hero for this whole story. He's been putting himself out there. He's been on Fox News. He's been in all kinds of interviews. I've seen him all over the place trying to let people know, hey, I've been inside Bud Light. I've been inside Anheuser-Busch. I know how to take care of customers. I know what these independent distributors are going through. And there are 500 independent distributors not owned by Anheuser-Busch that are also trying to make a living and take care of their 47,000 employees. Anheuser-Busch only has 18,000 employees. There's 47,000 employees that work for independent companies that have nothing to do with any of the ridiculous decisions that Bud Light is making at the parent company level. Anson Frericks has been out there, and now he puts himself out even further on a limb, making public comments criticizing the current CEO of Anheuser-Busch, who actually did promote him personally twice. I have a lot of respect for this guy. I think he's been trying to let people know what's actually been going on from his experience inside the company. He's really almost like a whistleblower. Let me know what you think of all this in the comments below. Do you think that Anson Frericks is doing the right thing by calling for this Brendan Whitworth to step down as CEO? Should another person go in there and just take care of customers and then see what happens? It doesn't mean that people are going to buy Bud Light again, but at least start to treat people with respect, be honest with them, be open, and let them know what happened in the first place and what you plan to do going forward. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Always love to see your ideas. Really appreciate you. Please be sure you are subscribed to the channel. Click the bell for notifications. Give me a thumbs up, and I'll see you again soon with another video. And if I don't see you, I will miss you.